Yo, what's up, guys? We're live again for another live show. We're going to be doing this UFC St. Louis recap. Then we're going to do a little bit of an early betting preview for UFC Vegas 92 or just early predictions, things like that. But yeah, man, let's get right into this card. First fight of the night, we had Veronica Hardy taking on JJ Aldridge. And I'll go first on this one just because I had a pretty confident lean on this fight and came to fruition. I thought the fight kind of played out how I thought, where it seemed like Veronica Hardy at distance, she was a lot faster and she had more power too. She was throwing combinations, and JJ just wasn't as active, and I feel like wasn't as effective with the striking. And she got her against the cage, but to me, she never got close to really taking her down. But third round, gave me a little scare when Aldridge dropped her and was on top. She definitely won that round, but I thought Hardy won the first two rounds pretty clear and looked decent. I think if she gets kind of a step up, though, maybe that'll be the time to fade her if they give her like a ranked opponent. But she's been looking good recently, so shout out to Hardy. And for JJ, I mean, kind of that loss kind of solidifies her, I guess, as like a gatekeeper. She wants to keep fighting, but yeah, decent fight. What did you think?
Yeah, exactly. Great point. And when you got a strong prediction, and probably shouldn't go against it. Aldrich, I thought it was a pretty close fight. But I thought if Aldrich won, which I thought there was a chance when it went to the cards, it would have been a robbery because Hardy won the first two rounds pretty comfortably. Round one was kind of close, but not really. Yeah, and like you said, I think Aldrich exactly is just a gatekeeper, and we kind of know what we got with her. Hardy too, I think, is around the same level. Like you've seen it, these girls are really close. I think in the breakdown, you made a great point when you said the bigger octagon would favor Hardy because she was definitely moving around and she has some great movement. I mean, that's definitely, one of her strong suits, and we'll see where she goes. This has been a really nice win streak after, she had a real rough start to her career, but she's going to have to, keep getting steps up in competitions and we'll see how she does. But yeah, like you said, I'd probably fade her if she had a steep step up. But, some of those ranked girls, kind of suck. You never know. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see who she gets next. I mean, if she gets someone like again like JJ, where it's like not a great athlete, and then once the cage push try to take you down, I mean, maybe it would be another chance to go for Hardy. But you got to see who she fights. But yeah, man, this next fight, I actually like this fight. I thought it was a fun fight to watch with Charles Johnson versus Jake Hadley. Hadley, he came out strong in the first round. I thought he won that round, but then I thought Charles Johnson pretty clearly won the second and third. I saw some people were saying they thought Hadley won, but I felt like Charles Johnson took this fight. He dropped him and had some pretty good moments throughout the fight, and I feel like Charles Johnson's kind of turned the corner. He's been looking a lot better. So we'll see who he gets next. If he gets a couple more wins, flyweight isn't really that deep of a division, so he'll probably be right around top five and might be able to get that 5-round fight that he wants, but still needs a little bit more work to do to get there. But for Hadley, I'm not sure, man. I mean, 2 losses in a row, flyweight, you can't really take many losses like that. So they might give him another fight, but definitely has to win that next one or he's going to get cut. So good win for Johnson there, definitely, especially in his hometown.
yeah, exactly. So I'm happy to see that for Charles Johnson. He's a cool fighter. And talking about getting cut, I mean, just 2 fights ago, it was, had he went out in that first round where he really almost got finished, he probably would have been cut. I think it would have been like 4 losses in a row. And yeah, that probably would have been it. And now, we were talking about him pushing towards the main event, towards the top of the division. So it's nice to see Johnson turn around. This was, one of my few good picks on the card. It wasn't a great card, but had Johnson and had decisions. So was happy to see how that fight played out. And, it kind of went as I thought it would. Johnson's defensive grappling, I think, showed off. Hadley was able to get some takedowns, but couldn't secure anything with it. And on the feet, Johnson was just too slick. I really hope they wouldn't cut Jake Hadley anytime soon. I'm a fan of him. I like his personality, and I think he's someone who can still develop and get better, and we could see some growth in, hopefully, but it has been a little bit of a tough streak for him. But yeah, good fight, and nice to see Johnson get that win in his hometown.
Yeah, man. In this next fight, I'll let you go first on it because you had a pretty good prediction again on this one. Good read on this one where you had the decision and the winner. So Trey Waters versus Billy Goff. What did you think about this one?
Yeah, it was nice value on that decision, but I mean, it did not seem like it was going to decision. I mean, I was sweating. This was crazy. It's a miracle it went to judges, but just shows you how tough both these guys are. because at the end of the first round, I mean, it was just a war and they were both gassed. But I thought, I mean, it was a close fight. I know I'm gonna spoil it, but you think Goff won. I would disagree, to be honest. I think Waters throughout the fight did a lot more damage. Personally, I thought he was a more effective striker, stuff the takedowns for the most part. And even though he definitely was tired, he fought through that and looked good on the feet, and did a lot of damage. And Goff is just insanely tough, and he's going to be a fan favorite fighter. His stock doesn't go down too much. Waters, I think, is going to have to work on a lot, going to have to work on that cardio. Maybe I would even like to see him move up to middleweight. He's probably killing himself too much to make welterweight, but he's a huge welterweight, and he's a problem for anyone in the division. I mean, with that size and his skill, he's definitely a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it definitely was a great fight of the night, right? And Trey Waters, he proved something to me because I felt like if he got in a war, someone pressuring him and really trying to get in his face and make it a hard fight, I felt like maybe he would kind of quit in there. I watched this fight with Jalen Fuller, and he got the knockout in that one, but it seemed like he was wilting a little bit. And kind of saw that in this fight with Billy Goff. But like you said, the thing that was impressive to me was he came back and was able to have big moments in the fight too. So even though he got tired, he showed that he's a dog, man. He can fight through it and have a war with a guy like Billy Goff that's super hard to knock out. But yeah, man, I felt like this fight was super close. I mean, both these guys hurt each other on multiple occasions. I feel like Goff was pushing the fight, pressuring more. He was landing more volume, more kicks. And it's subjective. I mean, Waters, he maybe was landing cleaner shots, doing maybe a little bit more damage with his shots. But Billy Goff was definitely landing a lot more and pushing the fight. So it's just kind of what you thought won the fight there and gave it to Waters. I did think 30-27 was kind of crazy. I don't get how you could say Waters won every round. But, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, if you're watching this back or if you're watching this right now, put in the comments, who did you think won that fight, Trey Waters or Billy Goff? Would like to know what you guys think. But, yeah, man, this next fight, another close decision here with Tabichi and Tisha Pennington. Kind of this one, I feel like people probably expected this to be a close fight, go into scorecards before it happens. So split decision isn't too shocking, but man, this is another one where I kind of thought Tisha won this fight. I feel like she won the first two rounds. I don't know. I thought she was more effective with the striking. She landed more volume. In third round, I thought Ricci definitely won. But what did you think? Who did you think won this fight?
Yeah, man, I had Tisha, of course. I was kind of counting on her. She was, a real heavy favorite going into the third round. I don't know if that's just because she was looking so good, but, the line definitely favored her, but it went to Ricci. I wonder, in other sports, NBA, NFL, you can bet on, so many crazy things. I hope one day you get props in UFC where you can bet on fights to go to split decision and stuff like that, because we probably could have hammered it for this line. Because you knew it was going to play out close. You knew neither fighter was going to get finished. But, both these girls, I like them both, fan of them both. And, just props to Tisha for coming out, off that long layoff. And she looked great, She didn't get the win, but it was a super close fight against a tough girl. And, Ricci gets a little bit of the MMA karma back. In her last fight, she lost a close one that some people thought she won. And this one, she won one, that most people thought she lost. And Tisha, on the other hand, has been on the losing end of two split decisions now in a row. So just kind of crazy, how different her career could look right now if these two wins, go her way when in both cases, which I thought they should have. And I think the majority of people probably did too.
Yeah, man. I mean, and what do you think's next for Tisha now after these two losses? You think she's gonna come back again and fight again, or what do you think's gonna go down with that?
I mean, I would, just depends what she wants to do. But I mean, if she wants to fight, there's absolutely no reason at all she couldn't be in there. I think she hangs around with most girls in the top 15. Yeah, I think she's a problem still. Yeah, but it really just depends on her because I don't think they need to be fighting, But I'm sure she still wants to get after it. And I'm sure she's only going to be even more motivated after getting these two tough losses in a row.
Yep. And so MMA Clips thought Waters edged it out. Okay. 30-27 is a bad scorecard. Yeah, man. I mean, I would have to watch it again too. I mean, when you watch it the first time and you have a pick, I mean, obviously you're gonna be a little biased probably, but yeah, it definitely was a close fight for sure. But this next fight wasn't a close fight at all with Esteban Rivich and Terrence McKinney. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can't really say much about 12-second fight. How long did it go? But man, I mean, Rivik just went out there and caught him with the head kick right away. I mean, what can you say? McKinney went out pretty bad, so that's a couple times now where McKinney's got knocked out really badly. So definitely have to question his durability at this point, and not too sure where McKinney goes from here, man. I mean, I don't think Rivix was like a super high level guy in the division, and he went out there and just destroyed McKinney. So he's gonna have to, put some wins together, like a lot of wins together, to get back in the position that he was like after his debut in the UFC. And for Rubix, though, man, I mean, big win. I think they're gonna probably jump him up to a high level opponent next, and we'll see if he can sink or swim there. But still not totally sold on Rivix, man. I mean, we didn't really get to see much of anything, besides that he could time a nice head kick. But yeah, man. I mean, what do you think about McKinney going forward? And I mean, I guess the fight, but not really much to talk about with that.
It was a brutal knockout. I mean, it was devastating head kick. And McKinney's, man, I feel bad because I still feel like he has the skills, but he has no cardio and no chin, and that's just a recipe for disaster. And the chins, getting finished like this is not going to help his chin. He needs to take a long time off and rest up and, improve if he wants to remain in the UFC and remain an MMA fighter in general, because he's taken a lot of damage and he's 15-7 now, so he's taken quite a few losses. As for Ribovich, yeah, this is a great performance, very impressive. He's gonna well deserve get a step up, and we're gonna have to see how he performs. I still think we have a lot to learn about him, but he's a young fighter. He's gonna continue to improve, so he's definitely someone you want to watch out for.
Yeah, for sure. And man, like you were saying, like it seems like the South American fighters, they've just been killing it recently. So anytime you see one of them fight, it's going to be a good fight for one. All their styles are fun to watch, and they've been picking up a lot of wins. So shout out to them. But yeah, man, this next fight, I'll let you go first on this one. It was I guess you could say a surprising fight, but I guess everyone knew, one guy was going to dominate. But definitely what Chase Hooper did in the first round was a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, completely opposite of how I thought the fight was going to go. Completely opposite. I thought Borchev was going to smash him, and he got smashed. Like, Chase Hooper beat him badly. The first round, I saw something was like Verdict MMA had the most 10-7s ever submitted for one round in the first round. That's how bad it was. And yeah, I thought the ending. What did you think about the tap? I mean, the fight should have been stopped either way, but I don't know if that's a tap, in my opinion. I know you have to.
He tapped. I don't know. I thought Keith Peterson. I don't know what the fuck he's.
I don't think that's a tap, but either way, Hooper, you can't take that win anything away from that win. And I said it with Ribovich, he's a young fighter and proven, but I mean, Chase Hooper is, way better of an example of that, because the strides he has made in his game, it's crazy. I mean, dropping Borchev is crazy, just being able to surprise him. And then we always knew he was good on the ground, but I mean, he's really, in my opinion, another level. The way he's able to like retain mount and stuff and just, flow so easily on top, it's a sight to see. And I know Borchev isn't a great grappler, but Hooper is a problem, and I want to see that Paddy Pimblett fight.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was a sick fight. Like, I feel like Keith Peterson, like MMA Clips is saying, he had to be drunk. Shout out Tom Cruise. But I mean, he made the fight more fun to me because we got to see a vicious side of Chase Hooper. Man, that ground and pound was sick. Like, he was just like destroying the guy. And then, like you said, I mean, I don't think Borchev actually tapped, but man, I mean, shout out to him too for being so tough. But even if he didn't tap, it doesn't really matter. He was just getting destroyed in there, like you said, 10-7. And I even said in the breakdown on Friday, man, like I was talking about Slava, I was like, he's an incredible striker, but he has no chin. But I don't think Chase Hooper has the power to knock him down. But, man, I was wrong about that. I mean, Chase Hooper knocked him down with the left hand. And, man, I mean, Borchev had, like, no moments in the fight at all. So, for Slava, that's a bad loss, man, because you've seen him now in the UFC, like back-to-back fights, where he got dropped really bad. So even on the feet now, he's becoming vulnerable, and that's his best area. And then on the ground, he's just a freaking crab on the ground, man. He has nothing. It's like he is at Team Alpha Male, but I don't know who he's grappling with over there. It's like he's had multiple fights where it's like, bro, you're getting taken down and there's no improvement. Like you, so I'm not sure. Maybe he's just not putting the work in, or I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just nerves when he gets in the cage. But either way, it's just he's not showing those improvements like you were talking about with Chase Hooper. Like Chase Hooper used to get destroyed on the feet by guys like Peter Baird and stuff, and now he's going out there and he has the confidence to get right in Slava's face, a kickboxing world champion, drop him. So that just shows, the difference in terms of one guy's, going to the gym, working, getting better, getting confidence, where the other guy, Slava, it just doesn't seem like he's doing that. So yeah, I mean, SD Crusader said Hooper would run through Patty, and I kind of agree, man. I feel like Hooper would beat Patty, but that's a good fight. I mean, it's a fight where either guy wins, they're marketable, and if Hooper wins, I think he could get a step up, and we'll see what he could do. I'm still kind of, I don't know, I don't really think he has the greatest wrestling in the world, but if he can start dropping guys and beating them up on the ground in the first round where they're so dead that he could just destroy them later on, then I guess it doesn't matter. But I think we're going to have to see him against a better striker again that's maybe a little more durable, that has takedown defense, see how he does. But if Chase Hooper gets you on the ground, especially if he's on top, it's definitely a problem. So shout out to Chase Hooper. And, I mean, I feel like he's one of the most improved fighters in the UFC since he's got there. I mean, what do you think? You agree with that?
100%. Like, if there's most improved player award, like Chase
Yeah.
Hooper definitely would be odds-on favorite. And I'm excited to see he's still so young, what his future holds. I mean, I think he can really, turn himself into a top 15 if he keeps improving like this, because he's
Yeah.
getting exponentially better, and his ground game is definitely legit, like as good as it gets.
Yeah, man. I mean, this guy, I definitely think he's going to have a good future, because another thing about him, too, it's like you see these people like Sage Northcutt or these people that are like brought in UFC too soon and they're hyped and then they take losses. Like they can crumble. But Hooper, he took a lot of shit, man. And even to this day, like before this fight, not talking about you or someone like that picked him, but there's other people
I'm
that
included, yeah.
will shit on Chase Hooper, though. Like they'll be like, he sucks. He's like one of the worst fighters in the UFC. But they're like, thinking back for like his first fight, and that's what it's hard to like get that out of your head sometimes. Like when
I think it's just because how bad he was on the feet in his first couple of fights. It's really hard. But I said I was scared for him in this fight, and look what he did to Borchev. I mean, two fights in a row. I mean, we'll get into it. Couldn't have been wronger, because Cabela's.
I mean, this next fight, I mean, fuck, man. Since you brought it up, you go first on it, but horrible fight again. I mean, I thought like back-to-back snoozers from Waldo, but he got the job done and made us look dumb. So what do you think?
I mean, Rebellis, man, what are you doing, dude? He didn't even attempt anything on the ground. Like, it was just lay there. Like, as soon as the fight got taken down, you knew that's it. Like, that's just how the round was going to end, because Waldo was just going to lay on him and content to lay on him. Should have stood this fight up 100 times, man, and made Waldo gas out on takedowns. But, man, Rebellis, fraud. I mean, we knew probably he had no grappling, but I don't think it could have been any worse than this.
Yeah, dude. And then Waldo, too, though, like he got the win, but like you said, it's like, bro, like he had no grappling either. It's like he had the wrestling to take down a guy with zero wrestling, and then he was just laying on top of him, not doing a fucking thing. So it's like Waldo got the win, back-to-back wins now over Arlovsky and Despain. Like if you look at that on paper and you didn't watch the fight, you'd be like, damn, like this guy is fucking making a run, But
it's might be the worst run in UFC history.
Yeah, it's like damn, like he's getting these wins, but I think they're gonna try to set him up again to get knocked the fuck out in his next fight, because they're probably just like, dude, we got to get this guy out of here, But I mean, he's getting the job done. I guess he's like 6-5-1 in the UFC, so he's been killing it, But I don't know. I still think Waldo is going to get exposed at some point, and Despain, I mean, 35 years old too, man. So they're heavyweight. I mean, he definitely could knock out some bums up there at heavyweight, but I don't think he's going to be doing what people thought,
You got to give him like someone like Chris Barnett. If that would be a hilarious fight versus Chris Barnett. And Waldo, give Waldo Derek Lewis, because that's another taxi cab driver Derek Lewis will knock out.
Yeah, dude. I mean, fuck. We got to give Waldo somebody. Sign Francis to one fight. Waldo.
Just to fight Waldo.
Such a frustrating fight from both. One couldn't finish and the other didn't try to get up. Yeah, man. I mean, it was just like, especially, I think it was more, I mean, I guess Despain obviously took the L, but it's like, Waldo, you've been training MMA a lot more. Like, if you could take this guy down, he's not doing anything, you should probably be able to finish him or do something. But yeah, just horrible fight. This next fight, it was a much better fight, but man, this fight, totally disagree with the decision, man. Like, it's like, how did Woodson win this fight? I watched it. I actually rewatched this fight because I felt like, I don't know, I felt like the decision was off and it was unanimous. So I was kind of like, okay, maybe I missed something on this one. But Woodson, I thought, won the first round, but Caceres, I thought landed more, was more effective in the second and third, and clearly should have won the fight. But maybe it was home cooking. I don't know. But do you agree? What did you think about the judging on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because I think the second round was pretty close, or the third round. I didn't rewatch it, so I don't remember as well. I definitely thought Woodson did have the clearest round in round one. I thought he had him a little hurt in round one when he was, putting a combination on him, and I was hoping he would get him out of there because I was on the under in this fight. Didn't hit, wasn't even really close to hit outside of that little moment in the first round. But yeah, like I would have to rewatch it to really give you my solid opinion, but I thought Woodson should have won, at least in his hometown. That definitely plays a factor because I'm sure the crowd, anytime Woodson was landing, was a lot louder, and that, whether it should or not, has influence. So, but, just a tough fight from both, kind of what we expected. I think both these guys are established fighters now at this point in their career in the UFC. And yeah, Caceres, he's been in a lot of close fights, That's kind of the guy is. He's a close point fighter. So when you have that style, some aren't going to go your way. And it didn't go his way on Saturday.
And man, I mean, Caceres now what? Like, he had that run, but he's lost like 3 in a row now or something. So I don't think the UFC is going to cut him. I mean, he's just too much of a known commodity, and he's still pretty good. But it's like, definitely we're going to have to like kind of see who they're going to give him next. I'm not too sure. Like, you think they're going to give him? I don't know. I don't think they're going to give Caceres like a build back fight though. They're going to probably give him another guy to try to like.
Yeah, it's only been 2 in a row, so I think they'll probably give him a real tough fight in his next fight, and then start to, someone who they kind of want to build up, and then start to weed him down. Let him fight some bums towards the end of his career because he's been in the UFC for a long time. I mean, since 2010, I think, since he started on Tough, which is insane. So, you gotta respect him at that point and let him finish his career out in the UFC, I think.
Yeah, and for Sean Woodson, I mean, you seem like you were really high on him before this fight. You still, rate him as highly, or are you kind of like not on that Sean Woodson train as much anymore?
Yeah, I think he's good. He's solid. With having a tough, close fight with Alex Caceres, I don't think, Caceres could give anyone a tough, close fight like that. I don't think he looked too bad. Still, I don't know what his ceiling is. Maybe top 15, maybe not. But, I think he's a good fighter. Great boxing, and just got to continue to Woodson versus Brito. Yeah, that's a good fight, and Brito will smoke him.
Yeah, I don't like that fight for Woodson, but for Brito, man, I think he would get a knockout in that one. I mean, you think he'd knock him out, or how do you think that fight would go?
Knock him out or choke him out.
Yeah,
Brito, that's how.
Yeah, it seems like it, dude, for sure.
Stipe and Waldo.
But yeah, I mean, this next fight, surprising fight here. I mean, Rebecky dominated the first round. He dropped him and seemed like he went all out for the finish and just second and third round, he didn't have much left. After he got his eye closed, Diego just beat him fucking bad, man. I mean, his face was like one of the worst faces I've seen after a UFC fight. So looked like he was like in a BKFC main event, Rebecky, man. But I don't know. I mean, I was pretty high on Rebecky before this fight. I liked his pressure and his striking. I thought was solid, and obviously he has that grappling base. But man, I mean, he came out looking good, man. I mean, his pressure was on point. I thought, the first round, started the second round, but once he got tired, Diego just gave him that vet lesson and beat his ass, man. And shout out to Diego Ferreira. The guy's fucking close to 40 years old, and he's still taking out these prospects. Finished him in the third round too, and just great performance from Diego, man. He definitely showed that he's still UFC caliber, and he could probably get quite a few more fights in the UFC. And basically, what I thought happened when they grappled. Ferreira was able to get him tired and then beat him up on the ground. So once Rebecky decided to start going that route, it was kind of over for him, and Ferreira took over the fight and kind of dominated. So shout out to Diego, man. I mean, great fight, and I think you said he was really live, so that was another good read for you on that one. I mean, what
Except
do you think
I didn't pick him. I didn't have the balls to pick him, so
yeah.
But he looked great, man. I mean, pretty much the narrative was that he could give him problems, but he's probably gonna fade, and it's the exact opposite. He pushes the pace and finishes Rebecky late in the fight, and was a slaughter in that third round. I mean, could have been stopped way earlier. And Rebecky took a lot of damage, but like you said, just want to give a lot of props to CDF. Still going out there and fighting killers like this after so many layoffs, so many injuries. This guy's, always has been and still is, just a really elite fighter.
Yeah, for sure. And for Rebecky, man, I mean, I still like him, but that's a lot of damage to take. I really don't know how he's going to come back from that fight, But Diego, it's like he got a big win, but I don't think the UFC is going to try to push him. So we'll see who he gets next. But I'm definitely going to be more excited to watch his next fight if he shows up on point like that at the weigh-in, because seemed like for a couple of years there he was struggling to make weight and all that, and had some bad fights. But maybe he's gotten his body back and he's gonna go on another little run again. So great fight from Diego there. And this next fight, I mean, Carlos Olberg, he's going on a run for sure. He just fucking destroyed Alonzo Manfield. Another super fast knockout here. Manfield just came out too wild, it seemed like. I'm not sure maybe he thought he was going to be able to just get in there and knock him out real quick or something, but backfired on him and he just got knocked out, in the first 15 seconds of the fight. So Olberg took care of business again, showed that crazy power and precision. And we're going to see where they match him up next. I'm sure he's going to get a high-level fight. But, yeah, man, what did you think about this one? Don't think you're expecting that type of finish, but –
not that quick, but I did have Olberg knockout. I mean, I think the UFC should really start pushing Olberg. He's like looks like a movie star. I mean, looks like who would play a UFC champion in a movie, and he has the skills too. Has that one step back in the UFC, but he's only looked better and better each fight. Yeah, fight kind of remind me of when Gabe Green fought Brian Battle, and Gabe Green just rushed him and got slept, and Manfield did the same thing and just rushes in and gets slept. But I don't know why that was a game plan or if it was just what happened in the moment. But yeah, Olberg is a killer dude, and I think the UFC should really start to ramp things up and move him up the division. Yeah, that's a tough fight. Krylov is a tough fight for anyone.
Yeah, anyone that can grapple, I would be curious to see how that would go, because you look at Olberg, they've been giving him
Olberg
this fight, it wasn't a good matchup because Alonzo was the guy that was supposed to kind of wrestle, I guess, but didn't happen, so we're gonna still have to see that. But yeah, I mean, co-main event, Joaquin Buckley versus Nurulloev. Kind of what I expected here, even though I thought Buckley was going to get the finish, and he didn't get the finish. Used the wrestling pretty much to go out there and just dominate Ruziboev. So what do you think about Buckley's stock after this fight, and Ruziboev too? You still think he should stay at 170?
Yeah, I mean, it just really depends how it feels. I mean, we know Buckley has really elite cardio, so I don't think Rizbayev faded too much. And Buckley's just a really good fighter, you know. He's someone I wasn't too high on early on, but I've come around and I really started to pick up, especially from this move to 170. He's definitely more fitted, and he's someone who kind of seems stupid with his antics and the stuff he does. But in my opinion, he has good fight IQ, and that really showed up in this fight. He was able to use the takedowns really effectively. There was times he would pull Rusabayev into pressure and use that momentum and get easy takedowns. And yeah, it was a good win in his hometown, And this is a tough opponent. Rusabayev has a ton of experience, and he's no slouch on the ground either. He has a ton of submissions against, who knows what bums he was fighting over there, but he submitted like 30 people or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just depends on how the weight cut went for him. I really don't know, how he felt. I think it's anyone. 6'5" is just too big for the division. You got to be killing yourself to make it. My own opinion is always fight up. I think people do better when they're not killing themselves, but everyone's different, and weight cutting works out for a lot of world champions. So
yeah, what did you think about the ending of this fight though, the post fight from Buckley? I mean, the call out, that was like one of the worst call outs of all time. But
I mean, I thought it was pretty, whatever. It was funny. It was calling him a hoe. The McGregor family clan are all hoes, but whatever, of course he's going to try to call out Conor, but, he has no chance of that fight, I think he'd probably smash Conor, to be honest. He's just too big.
Yeah, I mean, the other fight he called is definitely more. I could see them doing that one, him versus Gilbert, just because Gilbert, he's lost like what two or three fights in a row now, so definitely could see that. With Buckley.
He was also tweeting that apparently they wanted Ian Gary, but he said he didn't want to get herpes.
Yeah, that fight would be a good fight, man. I mean, that's like a interesting matchup because
I think Gary would knock him out.
He's not like a great wrestler, and then Buckley, he struggles with like long southpaws, like even though he didn't struggle versus Nosselton though. So, but
Gary, I think, would snipe him though.
Yeah, he it's like that is a big possibility in that one for sure.
But against Gilbert, I think maybe he could win that fight. To be honest, he might knock Gilbert out.
Yeah,
that's a lot closer fight in my opinion.
If he KO'd Gilbert, he'd be like right there for a title shot too. Like
one fight away, definitely.
Yeah, so Buckley, he's definitely kind of moving up, and man, for Nursulton, I don't know. I saw some people saying he got fraud checked and all that, and I still think he could be viable, against certain guys. It's just I definitely think his grappling is a little overrated and his wrestling kind of sucks. So it's like he's gonna have to get a little bit more aggressive with the striking too. Like he was just trying to counter strike pretty much, which I think he was just too worried about getting taken down. But he didn't have a lot of time for this fight, and like I said, it was at 170. So if he goes back to 185 and has a camp, I think he could do better. But yeah, man. Moving on, main event: Derek Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm an idiot, dude. I picked the taxi cab driver against Derek Lewis. Can't believe it. One of my all-time favorite fighters, and I'm picking some taxi cab driver from Brazil to beat him. But, it was amazing to watch Lewis win like that and then moon the crowd, throw his cup in the stands, just get to do whatever the fuck he wants, But when you're the knockout king, I mean, who's gonna tell him no,
Yeah, you see that fool at the press conference? That was crazy, dude. Where he was like asking Dana White to sign his cup or whatever.
Yeah. We had some reporter talking about getting branded at the press conference. It was out of control.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah. Fucking St. Louis brings out some crazy people for sure. But dude, the crowd, I guess you got to shout that out too before we finish out this card, because we were giving shit to the Brazil crowd a little bit, but this crowd was awesome, man. I mean,
and they were there early. They were there from the first fight.
And I heard Dana White said, which I was surprised, like it was the biggest fight night gate of all time. So they definitely must have been putting those prices up, man. I'm not too sure, but not sure what happened right here. He must have went off, but gonna try to get him back here. But we're gonna keep moving on. We're gonna be talking about this next fight card. We got this UFC Vegas 92 card going on. So gonna kind of just give you guys my initial thoughts and a little bit of a breakdown here with this card. So obviously we got Edson in the main event. He's gonna be taking on Lerone Murphy, and yeah, man. I mean, it's a pretty good main event. Obviously, I mean, anytime you got Edson Barbosa in there. All right, hold up, we got him back. What's up, bro?
My bad. Yeah, back in.
But yeah, I guess we could finish up what we were talking about with the crowd and all that. And yeah, dude, Derek Lewis picked up another win, and seems like he's motivated but not motivated, just like usual with Derek Lewis, where it's like he's like goes out there and knocks another guy out in the third round. That's one thing about Derek Lewis.
Third round knockouts, yeah.
It's like he has no cardio, but he always gets a knockout the third round, like later in the fight. It's like, but yeah, man. I mean, that guy, it's crazy. It's like
give him Waldo.
Definitely, I wouldn't mind like if they just gave him like a bunt, like Derek Lewis.
That's it. Like just let him get like 20 knockouts, and it's just all bummed.
Yeah, dude. I mean, who cares? Like, but I'm not gonna say Nasrut was above though. That's kind of mean, but yeah. Either way, like Derek Lewis just fucking. That was a bad knockout too. Like you said, I think it was a late stoppage on that. But Lewis, I mean, what would you do with him? Like even though we're talking about this, like, would you really like keep feeding him these type of guys, or would you actually give him a jump up?
Yeah, just fun fights. Like give him a rematch with Tai Tuivasa, something like that.
Yeah,
you know, just fun fights. Or seriously, I would love to see him fight Waldo and just sleep Waldo for that performance. Just punish him.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. But all right, we're gonna moving on to this next card, UFC Vegas 92, like I was saying, and let's just start with the main event: Edson Barbosa versus Lerone Murphy. Close line there. We got Edson as the slight underdog. You've seen a lot of love for Edson so far. You know, a lot of people betting on Edson as the dog and things like that. And yeah, I mean, to me, this is a close fight. I get it. I mean, but I'm leaning more with Lerone Murphy. I mean, I understand that Sadiq. Edson looked really good in there and was able to survive early, but I think Lerone, if he's smart, you know, you'll see that fight and he won't just unload on him if he hurts him, which Sadiq should have known that already, even though, you know, it's for how long Edson's been fighting in the UFC. But Murphy, I think, is going to be a little bit more methodical with his approach and just kind of beat Edson. I think he could finish him, and I think he can even mix it up and some takedowns. I got to look into it a little bit more, just initial thoughts, but leaning just towards the younger guy here.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm a big fan of Edson, but I'm a big fan of Lerone Murphy too. And I know this is a big step up, you know, a huge step up. By far, toughest guys fought, but I don't think I think he's better than Sadiq. I think this is a tougher fight. I think he's a lot slicker of a striker. Sadiq maybe a little more powerful, but I think Lerone, you know, can put it over it in 5 rounds. I think eventually, to be honest, he'll finish Edson Barboza. So I as of right now, I'm gonna go Murphy knockout. But you know, Edson's always gonna be dangerous and looked really spectacular in his last fight. But I think Lerone will be more methodical, like you said. He won't fade as much, and I think he'll eventually clip Edson over the course of 5 rounds and get him out of there.
And what are the odds on the knockout prop?
Pull it up right now.
Yeah.
So Murphy by TKO is plus 250.
Yeah, that's way better than the money line. So minus 140. But yeah, I mean Edson, he could, like, if he wins, it's going to be a knockout, I would think. I mean, I guess I just don't see him winning over. I guess he just won a 5-round fight, but I don't see it happening again. But yeah, co-main event, Chaos Williams come back versus Carlson Harris. 2 guys that, you know, they're good, but I don't know what they've been doing recently. Like, neither guy's been fighting too much. Chaos has been out for a long time, but yeah, hard fight to call just because Carlson is a little older, man. He's like, I don't exactly know what he is, but he's like, I think like 38 or something. So with this layoff, I'm not too sure like how he's gonna look. And Chaos has power, but Carlson could definitely take him down. Like, this fight, I got to look into a little bit more, and the line is close for a reason, I feel. But yeah, I mean, you have a read on this one?
I'm a big fan of Carlson Harris. You know, I'm high on him. I'll tend to pick him almost in every fight. I think technically, Chaos is a little better and it definitely has some more knockout power, but Carlson has some power too. He can definitely crack. Um, but yeah, I favor Carlson. I think he has, the better ground game. Um, Cass Williams does have that wrestling base, but I don't know. Sometimes he's very, very low volume. So I think if it goes to judges' scorecards, that definitely is going to favor Harris. And you did say he's older, he's only 36. So,
Okay.
fighting at welterweight. So I think he can still be competitive at that age. And yeah, like I said, it could definitely be a close fight. I got to think about it a little bit more, but I definitely tend to favor like Carlson Harris more than I like Chaos Williams. So I think I would be on that, especially at dog money. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if Chaos won.
Yeah, and then this next fight, I'm also seeing some people going with the underdog in this one with Rami Rahimaj versus Kimbo. And yeah, I don't know. This is one that you know I don't really like the Ramiz bets on this fight because there's a couple of things I don't like about Ramiz. I mean, he's not the youngest guy. He's coming off a long layoff. He doesn't really have, to me, very good striking overall. Like he's not too dangerous on the feet. I see you talking about his boxing, but I don't know. I feel like Themba is going to be more athletic on the feet, and I don't really rate Ramiz's wrestling. He could go out there and get the first round sub, but if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't get the sub in the first round, I got Themba all day. In the second and third, I think he could run away with the fight. I think he could finish the fight down the stretch. And Themba, I think he has a lot of motivation right now to pick up this win. Ramiz, I just don't like the layoff, mainly for this fight. But yeah, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm on Themba. I'm not too impressed as Ramiz as a fighter, but he does fight out of Fortis MMA. That's a great camp, so he's going to be put in work with some good guys. But yeah, I think Themba, this is kind of fight where the UFC is looking to build him because he has such a cool story. And I mean, I guess just the reason the line is so close is because, Themba hasn't really beaten anyone, especially in his last fight. I mean, Pete Rodriguez, really just a weird fighter. And Takashi Sato, he's not too good. And it has that loss to AJ Fletcher. And AJ Fletcher has really been struggling lately. But I mean, on the other end, if you look at Ramiz's wins, it's against Sasha Platnikov and Michael Gilmore. And for my money, Michael Gilmore is the worst fighter ever in the UFC history, sadly. Seems like a nice guy, but Ramiz just not on the level of my opinion of Themba, and this is kind of another Themba fight where they're trying to set him up and make him look good. So I think Themba is going to get the win and probably a finish here.
Okay, yep. So in this next fight, Adrian Yanez versus Vinicius Salvador. I don't get this line on this fight, man. I mean, I get that Adrian, he's a lot bigger name and someone that's fought higher level guys, but he's just not been looking good recently, man. Like his last couple of fights, he's gotten really beaten up bad, had very little moments. And I just feel like, Vinicius, he's not the worst fighter in the world. He has good kicking game, he has decent striking. And this could play out, competitive. I feel like so. I just don't agree with the line, but I have to watch a couple of Vinicius's fights again and kind of just remind myself on him. But I feel like the line is off on this fight.
Yeah, so I'm going to disagree there. I think Yanez, this is a pretty easy fight for him. I think they're trying to, get him to bounce back, and that Yanez is, a lot of fans like him. He has a really exciting title. Um, Vinicius, I think it's a really weird matchup. I mean, Vinicius is moving up in weight, but maybe he was really struggling at to make the 125, and at 135 he'll look a lot better. But I'm not, a fan of him. I'm not, someone who's hype on Vinicius. He came out one time with the R9 haircut, I remember, and looked like such a fool. But yeah, I think Giannis should knock him out or outpoint him. And I like the line. I think he's a safe parlay pick. Might be my most confident play of the night. But maybe Vinicius will make some big improvements at the new weight class. But for me, I'm going Giannis, and I'm pretty confident. But maybe that's just me, feeding into the bigger name. You know.
Yeah, and I definitely got to watch Vinicius' last couple of fights. I just remember him being a decent striker, and I think it could maybe be close. But next one, Luana Pinheiro versus Angela Hill. Angela's slight favorite in this one, and I'm leaning towards Angela here. I just don't like Pinero's cardio, and I feel like she maybe could use that judo and be effective with it, but I don't think she's going to submit Angela. Angela's put a big emphasis on her grappling in the last few years. So I think she'll at least be able to survive. Like, we've seen her survive against better grapplers than Luana. So I'm leaning towards Angela Hill, but to me, it's hard to ever be confident in Hill just because she's hot and cold. She's pretty old, and but I'm just not a big Pinero fan here.
Yeah, I'm on Hill. I think you know what she is. She's a gatekeeper, and I think this is one gate she's gonna keep. Probably will be close because it's a both these girls are decent fighters. If we had that split decision prop I was talking about, I would probably want to hammer it here. But yeah, I'll go Hill decision. I think she's just way more experienced. We know that, and to beat Angela Hill, you've kind of got to be on top 15, top 10 level, to be honest. And Luana, just in my opinion, hasn't proven that to me yet. But maybe she'll show us something here. I gotta look a little more into Luana, but I like Angela Hill definitely to get the job done. She's a fighter who's maintained her skills throughout her age, and I think just continues to go out there and be tough and put on tough performances, and we'll do that even though she's 39.
And this next fight, to be honest, I don't know much about this fight yet. I got to look into it. The Umar C versus Antonio Tricoli. All I know Tricoli a little bit. Like, he's, I think, married to Mackenzie Dern or dating her, and he's a grappler. And the Omar C guy, I don't know much about it all. So, have you looked into this fight at all yet?
Really not too much at all. Just the records. I haven't seen any fights yet, but kind of weird to see in this day and age two guys fighting, not getting the contender series contract. Just fighting off the regional seed. I know Takati did have a fight on the Tricoli, excuse me, did have a fight on the contender series, but it got overturned. I don't remember it. So like I said, I just have to do some more research. But both these guys have solid records, and by looks, look to come in fights in good shape and look jacked. But Sty is a big favorite, so
Yeah.
maybe there could be some value on Tricoli. At that line. He looks to be a decent fighter, but just got to do more research, and I'll have a better. We'll both have better opinions on this fight as the week goes on.
Yeah, for sure. And this next fight, I actually have a pretty confident pick on this one with Healy Alatane taking on Kletzen Rodriguez. And Kletzen, he's moving up to 135. He definitely had or hold up, Robertson. So Tricoli is a good wrestler, but it looks like to be a layup for C. So okay, very fast starter. All right, bro. Yeah, we got to look into it, but yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that. For like I was saying, this next fight, Kletzen versus Healy Alatane. Yeah, man, I like Alatang in this fight personally. I think the line should be flipped. Kletzen, he's definitely skilled. He's super explosive early in the fight. Like, he's a good kicker, has power in his hands, even though I think his boxing kind of sucks. And he has good knees, things like that. And he's kind of a guy that'll try to pull you into those type of strikes, like a flashy knee or something like that, and just knock you out. And then he can wrestle a little bit. He has a good double leg, but isn't really a great grappler. I mean, especially off his back, he's really ineffective there. But you look at his opponent, Healy Alatang, I just think it's a bad matchup because you got a guy with a blockhead that's super durable. I mean, I don't think that he's going to get knocked out early in the fight by a flyweight. If he does, I mean, Kletzen is going to find his new weight class and be a beast. I mean, even though he got ran through by Farid in his first 135 fight, if he could knock out Healy Alatang, then I think that, he's going to have maybe a future in this division. But, yeah, Healy, I just feel like the pressure is going to be effective versus Rodriguez. You see he doesn't have great boxing. If you could pressure him, you could take away a lot of the kicks and being able to, like, time a knee or something and just walk him down and use your hands. I think that left hook is going to eventually start landing to the body, to the head on Rodriguez. And unless Rodriguez has better cardio at 35 or he can wrestle over 3 rounds a little bit more effectively, then I just don't see it happening. And I think Healy has good enough takedown defense, man. I mean, the guy's training at Fight Ready, which is one of the best wrestling gyms that you can be at. And he's definitely been showing improvements. Even though he lost to a guy like Chris Gutierrez, I feel like he did decent in that fight. And you've seen Chris Gutierrez nullify other really good strikers. Like even the fight with Song Yadong, he didn't really get off too much on Chris Gutierrez with like big heavy shots. So I feel like Healy's going to get the job done in this fight.
Yeah, to be honest, I was pretty back and forth on this, going into this, and you having that read on Healy. I'm probably gonna have the same because, in my opinion, Clifton Rodriguez, he's someone who had kind of some unwarranted hype. He kind of has a lot of fights fall through, and in a lot of those, I feel like he's come into as a favorite, and I just haven't really seen it with him. He's got to prove it to me, and I think Healy's a way more established fighter at this point. So for him to be the underdog, I think that's where all the value is.
Word, yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good bet this week for sure. But next fight, we have another fight where I don't really like the line on this fight at all with Abus Magomedov taking on Warley Alves. I feel like these guys are similar fighters, man. I mean, they're both guys that go out there and they either kill you in the first round or they gas out and get finished. And that's really what we've seen from their careers. Warley Alves, I feel like he is a little underrated. The guy has had some big wins where he's gone out and ran through guys and then has horrible performances. So it's like you don't know what you're going to get from Warley. You might get a world beater or you might get a guy that looks like shit. So it's like hard to say. Like Warley submitted Colby Covington. He's beaten other high-level guys where he's just taking them out quick. And it's like he definitely is capable of that. He can go out there and run through Abus for sure. Like definitely could happen. We've seen him destroy another guy that's like a similar type of striker in Munir Lazez, where he just took him out really quick. But Abus, he's going to go and try to do the same thing. He's a sniper that tries to get that early knockout. And you've seen when he gets extended, like his last couple of fights, he just falls apart. So he really has no experience in long fights either, like even less than Warley. So I think the line's off on that one personally. But Warley's old, he taking a lot of damage. It's hard to trust him and put a bet on him, But yeah, that's probably a pass for me on that fight.
Yeah, I'm on Magomedov here by knockout. I know Warley is explosive and definitely dangerous and on his day, but I'm just not sold on him at middleweight. I don't think he's middleweight. I think he's undersized for the division, and at this point in his career, I think someone like Abus is probably going to smash him. So I know that minus 125, I think it was for the knockout, or plus 125. Let me see. I know it's not the best price, but that's how I see the fight going. So yeah, knockout. At least you're getting the plus money there, and I don't think Warley goes 3 rounds with him. I think he's going to get smashed. So that's what I'm on here, and the line's a little high, and Warley definitely can go out there and sleep him and surprise some people. But I'll be on Abus this week.
Yeah, this next fight, I mean, another really wide line here with Tom Nolan versus Victor Martinez. Tom Nolan, came in there in his UC debut and just kind of dropped the ball. He was a big favorite. Like this fight, got knocked out. Facing, a guy that's pretty low level in this fight, man. I mean, we've seen Martinez really not have much success in the UFC at all. But you agree with Tom Nolan being minus 500 or like
how is he minus 500 after he was literally just minus 500 and got smashed? I don't understand stuff like that. How can he be such a big favorite again? I mean, I get the guy's fight is no good, but that knockout was not too long ago, only like 4 months ago. So, that's something that could play a factor. And I mean, he's a really tall guy. He cuts a lot of weight. So he can definitely be on knockout watch, definitely be on upset watch. But Victor Martinez, I don't think this is a man to do it.
Yeah, I mean, what's the line on that, the knockout for Victor? Because he's already plus 375, so.
Yeah, it'll be huge.
Yeah.
Plus 450.
It's not even much better than the.
Yeah, but I guess if that's wins, that's probably how we'll get it done, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's a lot of big favorites, man, on this card. You might have to eat some chalk on this one. I mean, Melissa Gatto versus Tamaris Vidal. Another line where it's a little weird line. I mean, Gatto minus 300. I think she's going to win this one. Probably will dominate the fight. Vidal hasn't looked that impressive, but I don't know. I just don't like the line on that one at all. But Gatto should get the job done there.
Yeah, I mean, Gatto's coming off 2 losses and is a minus 300 favorite, Don't love to see it. I mean, We're starting this card off with a bang. Emily Ducote versus Vanessa
Yeah, dude, they
Demopoulos.
just lined up
Pierre
like
Rodriguez or
five
Ariana Carnolos and Melissa Gatto versus Tamaris Vidal. Wow. This is, I mean, they're. But yeah, Vidal, I'm not sold on at all. Ramona Pasquale is one of the worst fighters ever in the UFC. So that win, I don't, hang my hat on. And even Montserrat Rendon, I'm not, high on at all. So I'll go Gatto here. I think she'll bounce back, but minus 300 is an absurd line, dude. Absurd.
Yeah, like that's crazy to me. I don't get how that line like makes any sense. I guess Gatto has fought like decent fighters, but still, man, I don't know. Abus isn't that big of a dude. Worley's probably around the same size as a former welterweight. Or you're probably saying Abus is probably around the same. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we have to see him like at weigh-ins, like how much bigger Abus looks. But yeah, Pierre Rodriguez versus Ariane Carnelosi. Like you're saying, I mean, this fight, I don't even know who I'm gonna pick in this fight yet. I mean, Carnelosi, I can't remember. I guess she just is like a pressure Muay Thai fighter, pretty much.
Just jacked.
Yeah. She doesn't even. She has like horrible grappling. I remember she got killed by I remember Joe Rogan was like going crazy. He was like, Lupi Gogita is gonna win the title in her next fight. Fucking was destroying this chick on the ground, our young Carnelosi. But yeah, Pierre Rodriguez. I mean, got exposed a little bit in her last couple of fights where she was undefeated, and then I think she fought Jillian and someone else, right? And she lost 2 in a row.
No, just someone lost to Jillian.
Just the Jillian one, okay. But either way, like I feel like even that fight, like Jillian was giving her issues on the feet, which is
not a good look.
Yeah, not a good sign, especially. So Carnelosi, I mean, I think it's a live underdog more than likely, but yeah, I just kind of got to look into Carnelosi's last couple of fights again, and I feel like she hasn't fought in a while. Or am I wrong about that?
Carnelosi's last fight against Lupi was, it has been almost 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Over 2 years.
That was the
Who
Lupi
knows what
fight.
she'll look like.
Fight.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that's the fight. Yeah, she got like killed in that fight too. So.
And it hasn't even been booked from what Tapology says since then. So who knows what the layoff is for? Maybe she'll come back and look like a completely different fighter, but 31 years old, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I'd probably lean Piera. She has some impressive wins. I like the Kay Hansen win. She looked good in that fight. And even, lost to Jillian Robertson, isn't the best look in the world, especially like you said, getting pieced up on the feet. But Jillian, in my opinion, is one of the more underrated girls. Is a really tough fight, and I think would submit Carnelosi as well. So, this is just one where I feel we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. I couldn't be too confident in a bet either way. Like Carnelosi, a 2-year layoff. I don't think that's an underdog you want to bet on. There's better spots on the card. So yeah, probably just a pass for me, or maybe even a bet on Piero Rodriguez.
Yeah, and then this first fight of the night, Vanessa Demopoulos versus Emily Ducote. This is another one where this line is definitely off, man. I don't understand. She's almost minus 350. Like, it's just, you look at her style, like she's never gonna be a minus 350 for someone unless she knocks them out. I mean, she's throwing single strikes, like super low volume striker at 115-pound women. It's like you need to throw a lot more volume. Like she's relying on like power shots. It's like not usually going to be an effective strategy against someone that throws volume. And we've seen that, like where she's just gotten outworked and lost decisions. But definitely, pretty precise striker. She has some wrestling, but Vanessa's relentless, man. I mean, she has great cardio. She actually has decent power herself in that right hand. She's super bad striker, wild, but she has good grappling too. I mean, off her back, she won her last fight. She just got taken down and was more active off bottom. So, but I think Ducote's should be the favorite, but I think it should be a lot closer to like minus 200. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking on this fight.
Yeah, I'll pick Demopoulos at this line. I mean, that's crazy value. I mean, I think it's probably going to be a really close fight, and minus 340 is crazy. Give me plus 280 all day. Vanessa, I know she's all she wants to get up and do is jump in someone's arms and talk about how she was a stripper. But she's a decent fighter. I know up and down in the UFC. Lost to Carolina, which not great, but to Cody, I'm not sold on. She's a Bellator superstar.
Yeah.
Hasn't worked out too well for her in the UFC. And minus 340 is crazy, man. Take the underdog. I'm on Demopoulos.
Yeah, I think Demopoulos has the value. I mean, I just I don't get the line at all. Like she's going to be more active too. But yeah, we'll see. Overall, I mean, this card, I'm not really liking this card too much.
Yeah,
Like,
me neither, to be honest, like at
yeah.
all.
But the thing is, though, there's so many MMA events this week, man. There's like 10 events you can bet on this week if you look at it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, dude. There's like ACA, 2 UAE Warrior events. There's like that Road to UFC thing this
So
weekend.
you got a
That's
busy week of work. That
Yeah, it's
Patreon
like
is gonna
4
be busy.
Bellator has that show too, so it's like there's like a lot of shows this week. So hopefully we can find some bets on all those shows, and on this UFC card, I got one bet already. I'm gonna have a few more. So, but yeah, man, should be a decent card. I'm not liking it too much. Kind of a weird card, like a lot of layoffs, a lot of female fights. But yeah, man, thanks for doing this video again. We're gonna be back on Friday, most likely, doing another breakdown. So. Thanks for checking us out, everyone in the chat, everyone that watched us back, put a comment, like, subscribe, and we're out, man. We'll talk to you guys soon. Later.
Bye, guys.